So this is cool. Thanks for having me up here to your hotel room here.
It's fantastic to have you. Did
really
you feel
nice.
weird walking into a hotel room? Did you not realize, like, did you wonder what the setup was going to be?
I just figured it was going to be a temporary setup at the hotel. I didn't realize you had sort of drilled lights into the ceiling and, you know, taken over the whole place.
Yeah.
You have an editing bay in the other room.
We do.
The Four Seasons is a Canadian company.
I know that.
Yeah, we're Canadian.
We are both Canadian.
Yeah. We're Canadians here in a Canadian hotel in Hollywood right now.
We are. That's actually a really good point.
So I like to point things out.
And you say out like an American.
Do I really?
Yeah.
I've been down here for too long, maybe.
Is that what it is?
15 years.
What do you think, like, is there something you're most proud of about being a Canadian? Because you know, like, they have on, like, the side of the alcohol bottle, Proud Canadian. I think it's like the rye. We call it rye, you people call it whiskey.
Yeah.
Is there something, like,
Canadian
that you
club.
think is the coolest thing about being Canadian?
I think my favorite thing from Canada is probably the sauce from Swiss Chalet.
I can't even right now.
Right?
I want to franchise it and bring it here.
Yeah,
Don't
see,
you
nobody
think?
even knows what we're talking about.
Nobody knows what we're talking about right
Look
now.
at all the blank-faced stares from all the Americans in the room. The sauce from Swiss. I've been out of Canada for 15 years, and my favorite thing in Canada that I miss the most is the sauce from a Swiss-themed chicken chain franchise.
So should we talk about your
let's
television
talk
show?
about my new television show. It's on AXS TV.
Yes.
I'm really excited about it, and it's been a lot of fun.
So why live? Why did you decide to make it live?
I like live. I really like the energy of a live show. You know, you can't take back anything that you say. The guest knows that it's live. The audience knows that it's live. So there's sort of a little bit of a nervous energy that gets created that is exciting, and people act differently on live television. It's just a lot of spontaneity.
So how was the Dan Rather experience?
The Dan Rather experience was great. It was really cool because you know, it was like you know, I have a lot of comedians on the show, but Dan Rather is obviously not a comedian. He's got this legendary career in journalism, and he's experienced so many amazing things, so it was a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you ever get nervous? Because you've done so many outrageous things in your career.
I always get nervous,
Do you?
I'm nervous now.
Are you?
You're making me nervous.
Am I making you nervous?
All these people here looking at us right now are making me nervous. But with somebody like Dan Rather, when you're interviewing somebody like that who's probably conducted more interviews with more people than anyone in history, you know, you don't want to screw up because that'd be pretty embarrassing.
Well, I always think it's the most, for me, the most nerve-wracking thing is to interview another interviewer.
Yeah.
Because they know your tricks, they know, you know, what you're up to.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're doing there.
So you were just, let's talk about you at the Hollywood sign, because those are pretty major bragging rights.
Yeah.
This is for your show, this is for Tom Green Live.
Yeah.
That you were able to go to the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
And perch for a little while.
Yeah, well, it's what we're going to do on the show every week, on the TV show every week. At the beginning of the show, I do a little monologue, and I talk about what I've done that week, and we're taking our viewers on a little trip around Los Angeles each week to just interesting places. And this week we went up to the Hollywood sign, and I went and sat on top of the Hollywood sign, which was fun.
What do you think is the most outrageous thing that you've ever done, experienced personally? I mean, that's pretty cool, but you've done so many amazing things sort of over the years. Is there anything you look back and you go, wow, I can't believe I did that?
Like positive things?
Yeah.
Like things that I would be comfortable bringing up here with cameras rolling?
Sure.
Probably getting to host the David Letterman show. That was probably the thing that I say, wow, I can't believe I got to do that. But, you know, that's sort of a positive thing.
He doesn't let many people do that.
Yeah, he doesn't let many people do it, but it was a real honor, a true honor, especially considering that he was my, biggest hero growing up as a kid, wanting to do comedy and wanting to do a, talk television show and funny stuff with video cameras, and he was my hero, and so to have him have called up and asked me to do that, that was pretty neat.
Speaking of physical comedy, Riot. So you're guest starring on this show.
Yeah.
And this is like, what did they say? It's like a Japanese game show meets, an improv comedy.
Right, it was really fun. It was really kind of a strange thing that they did that I've never seen on TV before. They built a set, but the set is slanted, and then the camera is shooting it slanted. So, to the viewer, you're seeing the set straight up, but of course everyone standing on the set is leaning and falling, and things are falling. And so you go into this crazy environment and you do an improv show. which was a lot of fun. And they've got a bunch of great improv comedy actors on there. And
Jason
you go
Alexander.
yeah.
Some really
Yeah, they have lots
cool
of guest
people.
stars come in and stuff.
So you come in for one episode?
You come in for one episode, but they have a regular cast
Yeah.
of people that are there.
Dream guest, dead or alive, who would it be for you?
Like dead? Like my favorite dead? Would they still be dead when I interviewed them, or would they be alive back?
They'd be alive. Back.
Okay, cool. So I don't think I'd ever want to interview a dead person.
No Weekend at Bernie's situation.
Yeah. Actually, I'd take that back. I wouldn't interview anybody. If you
Just prop 'em up?
drop a corpse off at the studio, I don't care. I'll interview anybody. You know, bring Jim Morrison in, throw him on the couch there. I'll ask him anything. Well, you know, like I said, I have a lot of heroes growing up, and maybe Johnny Carson would be the one that I would pick.
The ultimate.
Yeah, I would pick Johnny Carson.
What about an alive person?
An alive person? Tupac. I'd like to interview Tupac, who we know is alive and living in Venezuela.
Who's the funniest person you've met?
I don't want to say anybody I think is the funniest, because then I would, offend everybody
You would.
else.
Everybody
that's done
else.
The show.
You can't do that.
I'd
You get no guests on
I'd
your show.
offend everybody all at once.
Right.
I'm trying to not do that as much anymore.
Are you?
I used to do that more on my MTV show, offend everybody at once.
Right.
But now I'm trying to kind of stay a little more.
Is that just as a result of growing up and maturing, or do you feel like your comedy has evolved? Or?
I just think when you're young and have sort of a desperation to get attention, especially, I started my show on a public access station. Nobody was watching. There was no reason to watch. So I would have to go do something just completely shocking just to get people to tune in and, what's going on over here? We got to watch this. And I think as you get older and a little bit more confident in what it is that, you do, certainly doing stand-up and touring and performing every night, I think I've started to rely less on, or not at all, on the shock tactics, and a little bit more on just keeping it interesting and having something to talk about.
Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. This is fun. Thanks for having me into your hotel room here. This is cool.